this week's Torah portion, we have a word that is used and re-emphasized over and over again. And while it seems like it's a simple Hebrew word, it is a word that nonetheless should stir within us a sense of instability, a sense of being caught in precarious situations and circumstances. And that word is Aleph Mem, Im. Im bechukotai telechu, if you walk in the ways of God. Ve'im lo tishmeru et mitzvotai, and if you do not keep the following statutes and laws in the Torah, then these will be the consequences. And sure enough, the list of what we describe in Parshat Bechukotai of the Tochacha, the blessings that will befall the Jewish people if they follow the statutes of God, and the curses or the admonitions that God forbid would follow should they not, if they do not follow the way of the Torah and the mitzvot, the commandments. To be in a state of im, is a very unstable and very precarious position to be in. It's uncomfortable because it is a safek. It's a state of instability. I do not know what is going to be, what is going to happen. And the truth is, when we think about it, with regards to our lives at large, the majority of our time on this earth is if we do not know. Lo navi ani v'lo ben navi. We are not prophets, and we certainly do not attest to play God. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But we do know that we have the capability of making decisions and affecting our future and the life of ourselves and those around us as well. And the question is, if we live in this state of what exactly does bring stability to our world? I want to share with you something that happened to me last week. It's rather personal, but I think will certainly resonate with all of you in attempting to understand the answer to this question. Last week, I had my last therapy session since the demise and the loss of our dear Gila. And I have to say that my therapist that I went to week in and week out is a wonderful person, a wonderful woman. She was a tremendously helpful and useful therapist. And I found her to be extremely resourceful. But through our sessions that we had, we forged a relationship, a patient-therapist relationship, but nonetheless a certain closeness vis-a-vis the various personal ideas, reflections, moments, memories that I shared with her about Gila, and that I would tell her also about my family as extended. And last week, our last session, my therapist did something that I imagine as a professional, and I'm not a professional, but I do know that there is a certain therapist-patient relationship that's meant to be maintained, a certain distance that's meant to be upheld. And she cried as she said goodbye to me. And she said to me, I'm sorry that I'm crying. I know that I'm breaching that relationship that's supposed to exist or not exist between us. But she said, I have to tell you that I feel I've never met Gila, and unfortunately I'll never have the privilege to do so. But I feel like I've gotten to know her through our sessions. She's a person that has lived through me, through hearing your stories and hearing her stories, and hearing the tragic consequence that occurred, and hearing about your loss and the void that is virtually impossible for you, your wife, and your family to ever fill. She courses through my veins, said the therapist, and I'm sad to say goodbye to you because in a way it's saying goodbye to a part of Gila. And I think that that's also why I cried, because it once again was another chapter in my life where I'd say goodbye to the therapist who helped me deal with the loss of Gila, and in a sense that really is saying goodbye again to Gila in another form and fashion. But really, when you think about it, what she was expressing is a tremendous credibility to Gila herself, because Gila was the kind of person who could course through someone's veins, whose memories would certainly shake someone's foundations, whose story would certainly resonate within a person's persona and promote their future and allow them to change the course of their lives based on what they learned from her behavior. And then she said to me a tremendous thing. She said, I never met your children, but through you, I've learned that your children and your family are outstanding. You told me a number of times that your son calls you during the week to check up on you. And you would ask him, what's going on? Is there anything that you need? And he would just say, no, Abba, I'm just calling to see and to make sure that you're okay. And you told me about your other son, who when he gets angry and has fits of frustration, perhaps weighed up to the emotional roller coaster that he's experiencing, that he'll call you and ask you for forgiveness for losing his temper at you. And you told me about your daughter, who when she sees you crying at times, she'll come over and put her arm around you and give you a hug and remind you that she loves you. And you reminded me and demonstrated to me through our sessions that your family is exceptional. And they are. Because we, who are in probably what would be described as the most crippling, handicapped predicament that one could be in, have demonstrated that we support one another, that we love one another, that we embrace one another, and that we are capable and willing to uphold one another. That we have the ability to think and to demonstrate that we can forge forward. And I think that that is the source of stability. Even in a world of im bechukotai telechu, even in a world of ve'im et mitzvotai lo tishmeru, that world of if, that world of unknown, the one known, the one constant that remains is the love and the support of the people that are around you. This week we celebrate Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day. The famous pasuk described in Tehillim, Yerushalayim habnuya ki'ir shechubra la yachdav. Jerusalem that is rebuilt. I believe historically Jerusalem was besieged 54 times. It was attempted of conquest 44 times. It was destroyed twice, but Yerushalayim is described as habnuya, the Jerusalem that will and can be rebuilt, that will and can be restructured. To be built and rebuilt again, that is the strength, that is the beauty that is captured of Jerusalem the Great. That is what makes us, or makes it, our spiritual capital. And sure enough, bnuya, livnot, to be built, to be reconstructed, is used as well, famously, as all of us are familiar with the pasuk in Yeshayahu Hanavi, who says, V'chol banayich limudei Hashem, v'rav shalom banayich. V'rav shalom banayich, and there should be great peace, banayich, from your children. Like I find peace and solace and comfort in mine who remain alive. Chazal darshan, v'chol banayich limudei Hashem, v'rav shalom banayich, al tikri banayich ela bonayich. Do not refer to it as your children, but rather banayich, children, should be converted to the word bonayich. Our reconstructors, those who rebuild. Our children, our future generations, our families, are what provide us with the resilience and the desire to rebuild and reconstruct once again. That was the exceptional attribute of Yerushalayim, the exceptional attribute of our family known as Am Yisrael, and the attribute that we have to look around ourselves and appreciate within our own family units and structure. That is the only way, the future way, the constructive way, the Gila way. Shabbat Shalom.